Today I'll be showing you how to use USA Test Prep. By now you should have received an email or letter from me providing you with account ID information along with teacher and student passwords. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a teacher at Armstrong Elementary. The account ID for Armstrong is Armstrong 34. And I'll enter my teacher credentials. So this is the front page of USA Test Prep. So you'll see the teacher's name and you'll see several tabs down at the bottom. I've given myself administrative access, but teachers will not have this access. Only administrators and instructional coaches will have administrative access. So the first thing a teacher wants to do is to create a new class. As you can see already down here, I've already created one class. So I'm going to click on this again to create a second class. If you are an elementary school teacher, then the grade level that you choose has to be grade 5. Even though you may be a 3rd grade or 4th grade teacher, the test that we purchase through the district is for 5th grade science. So please make sure you choose science grade 5. Teachers will be able to add students once they have their classes created. And as you can see, there's an A through Z listing here at the bottom. So to find students, you can click on a letter of the alphabet and it'll reveal the names of all of the students that have been loaded into your system. So far, the students in grades 3 through 5 have been added to the USA Test Prep system. So I'm a 4th grade teacher, and I'm looking here and I see students in grades 4, 3, and 5, but I only want to see 4th grade students to make my search a little more efficient. So here where it says student grade, I'm going to choose this drop down menu and I'm going to select 4. And as you can see, it filtered the information, so now I only see students in the 4th grade whose last name began with A. So if I want to add this student to my class, I will click add. And as you can see over here, the student's name now appears under this class. So I'm going to take the student off because some other 4th grade teacher may be trying to add that student. And then the student's name will appear back in this list. That's one way to add students. I'll show you another way to add students later on. So I'm going to say save and manage that class. So you can see this is just a summary of what I've just done. I have science class 2. I'm the teacher. I can also assign a secondary teacher. So in some cases where you may have a co-teacher who's working along with the primary teacher, the primary teacher can give the co-teacher access to the student data, but the co-teacher cannot create, test, or alter any information. So I'm going to go home. Now, teachers will also have the opportunity to create their own test. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click on the benchmark tab. So there are none listed because none have been created. So I want to create a new benchmark. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it 4th grade pretest 1 on matter. And my name is already selected, but if I click shared benchmark, then I can share this benchmark code with other teachers once it's generated. So for example, if you have 5 4th grade teachers who are all teaching science and they're all planning together, one of the teachers can make the quiz and click the shared benchmark button and can share that exact same test with the other 4 teachers on the team. There are some other options here. Where it says test, you want to again make sure you choose the grade 5 science test because that's what we purchased. And then we can allow students to see results upon completion. So if you want them to see their score immediately, you can allow students to view the question in Spanish. So if you have students who are ELL and speak a second language and you think this may be helpful, then you can also allow this option. Display the question in random order is preferable, especially when students are sitting next to each other and you want to ensure that every student is doing their own work. And then finally, the number of answers per question. So this may be helpful for students with IEPs, and there have to be some modifications made to their test, like reducing some of the answer choices. There are two types of benchmarks you can create on USA Test Prep. You can create a basic test or you can create a custom test. A basic test will allow you to choose the length of the test. So a small test will be 25% of the actual test length, or 13 items. A medium test will be 50% of the actual test length, or 25 items. A large test will be 38 items, and an actual test will be 50 items. So if you're doing a larger test, you can choose the parameters. So what is a basic test? Basically, if we look at the blueprint that DESE provides, it tells you what percentage of the questions deal with which strand. So there are 8 strands that are tested in science. So it may say 12 to 15% of the questions that are on the MAP test will come from this strand, and 10% will come from this strand. Well, USA Test Prep tries to match that to the best of their ability. So when you create a basic test, USA Test Prep will automatically select questions that match those strands or match those strand percentages as much as possible. The other option is to create a custom test. A custom test will allow you to choose the specific strand from which you want to pull questions. So in this example, I wanted to create a pre-test on matter. So I'm going to choose the strand matter and energy. And as you can see, it brings up all of the standards that have to do with matter and energy. And when I click on a standard, it provides me with a lot of questions. So I can go in and actually click on the question and see the entire thing. So I can see that this actually provides me with 11 different questions. So I can go in and say, hey, I'll add that question to the test. I think I like this one. Let me add that one. Go to the next one. I'm not quite ready for that one yet, so I'll skip it. And I'll take this one also. And then I close. So you can see right next to the strand, you'll see the number 3. That's letting me know that I've chosen 3 questions from this particular strand. So then I can go to the next standard and I can choose additional questions as well. So I'm going to just randomly choose some questions here. So that's all I want for my test. So I'm going to click continue, and it's going to ask you next, do I want to add a favorite question? A favorite question is a question that the teacher authors. So you're able to put in your own questions and save them as part of your test bank, and you can use them to build tests also. So at this time, I don't want to add a favorite question. Well, what about performance tasks? Performance tasks include classifying, highlighting, labeling, matching, and ordering. So if you want some type of interactive features with your test, then you can do that. So I'll say, yeah, I want to add a performance task. And I can choose the domain. So I'm doing matter and energy again. And say I want to add something about states of matter. So I'm going to choose, here's a matching test that I'm going to choose. So I'll click continue. Then it asks you if you want to add a free response. But please note that free response questions have to be graded by the teacher. So it says each free response question includes a suggested answer key, which may include a rubric, sample response, and keywords. But at this time, I don't want to add a free response. Now, before I save my final benchmark, USA Test Prep provides me the opportunity to look through the test again, to think, hey, do you really want that type of question? Think I'm okay with that one? What about this one? So I think I'm okay with this question. I don't really like this one. So if I don't like a question, I can replace with a similar question. So I'm going to click on it and it'll give you 5 more options. So say I like option 3 because we've been talking about the space between the particles. So let's choose option 3 and it will replace it with that question. So now I'm done. So I'm going to save a benchmark. And notice that it gives me a code. This is the code that the students will enter. And I'll show you what it looks like to enter a test on the student side. So I'm going to assign this benchmark. And I can assign it to both my classes or I can assign it to one class. This can be a single assignment, such as a single game, test, or quiz, or this can be a group assignment where multiple assignments to be completed in a specific order by more than one student. So I'm going to assign it to class 2. But it won't allow me to do that because I don't have students in my class. So I can't make any assignment. So I can't finish this test because I don't have any students in my class. But you get the picture of how to create assessments and how to assign them. So let me go back and I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in as a student. So logging in as a student, the students will again need the account ID. And I just want to double check to make sure that Armstrong's account ID is Armstrong 34. So I'm going to log in as a student. This is one of Armstrong's students that I grabbed. So you can see here's the student's name and the student has been logged in. So if I was his teacher and Jack was in my class and I actually created a benchmark and I assigned it to the class that he was in, it would show up down here where it says assignments for all classes. There would be a list of things to do. So Jack, I want you to go in and take the benchmark. So what Jack will do is he would enter in the benchmark code and he would submit, and then the test will come up and he would take it. So finally, let me show you what the data actually looks like. So I'm actually going into my access and I'm in the high school because we actually have data right now for high school. So our test was the biology EOC practice test, and I'm looking at this test and there's 949 responses. So I'm going to click on results. I'm waiting for it to load here. All right, so it shows me a distribution of all of the scores for this particular benchmark that was completed. I can also see how the 3 high schools are comparing against each other. What is their average score? And then student grid will allow me to see the individual students and whether or not they have mastered the standard or not. So purple is less than 66%, yellow is 66 to 85%, and green is greater than 85%. So I'm looking at, for this particular strand, where is this student? so I can see how these students are scoring.